up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I, we sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 312, and it's finally time. We are sticking with the scary theme for the month of October, and we are finally covering not only the most requested horror game in Remember the Game history, but one of the most requested games in the history of this podcast, period. It's time to talk Silent Hill 2. And I'll warn you right now, this episode will be full of spoilers. It's hard to talk about a game with a story like Silent Hill 2 and not spoiler it, so you've been warned. Spoilers. No remake spoilers. The remake actually hadn't come out when we recorded the game portion of the show this week, but for the original game, spoiling all over the place, all right? So you've been warned. Now, I know what you're thinking. Man, Adam is such a genius covering Silent Hill 2 the same week that the remake releases and everyone's talking about it. I'd love to have his baby. And I appreciate the sentiment, but I didn't necessarily plan to drop this episode the week of the Silent Hill 2 remake release. Honestly, I just kind of fell ass backwards into it. I swore at the beginning of the year that I would play and review Silent Hill 2 by the time that remake shipped, and I snuck it in under the wire. That said, it actually did work out pretty nicely at the end. So if you're here for the first time because you found this because Silent Hill 2 is on your brain, welcome. Thanks for listening. And I can tell you all right now, after finally playing the original Silent Hill 2 for the first time over the last week or so, my interest in the remake has skyrocketed. In fact, I downloaded it today, Tuesday, and I think I'm going to fire it up tonight because I'm really excited to play it. The reviews say that Silent Hill 2 remake is spectacular, and if it's a better version of the original game, it has to be, because Silent Hill 2, it's pretty spectacular. And I was a little worried with all the hype that it's had over the years and everyone telling me, you got to play Silent Hill 2. I was a little concerned that maybe it wouldn't quite live up to all the hype and everything. But now that I've played the first 3 Silent Hill games, I can see why so many people feel that the second game is the pinnacle of the series, because that's how I feel now. I like all 3 of them. And if you're interested, we do have reviews of Silent Hill 1 and 3 here in the archives somewhere. There's 312 of these. I don't know which number, but they are in there. But I do think this is my favorite of the 3. My buddy Patrick was my guest for Silent Hill 1 and 3 here on the show. So, of course, he's coming back to talk Silent Hill 2. And listen, I genuinely love doing this podcast every week. It's so much fun. But I really, really enjoyed recording this episode and reviewing Silent Hill 2. It's absolutely my favorite in the franchise now. One of my favorite horror games now. I really enjoyed it. It was interesting to hear someone smarter than me in Patrick, or anybody, but in Patrick in this case, and his thoughts on what the endings meant and all that kind of stuff. Patrick thinks it's a damn masterpiece. I think it's very, very good. And I think and hope that we finally have done Silent Hill 2 justice on the show, because I know how long some of you have waited for this episode. And we'll get to it in just a minute, because speaking of waiting for the episode, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Ha ha. And listen, if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for listening. But consider this your warning. Our intros are long, all right? They're not that long, but when we talk about video games and stuff, they are fun. And they have been head free since 2022, so you're safe here. If you do want to skip the intro, if you just want Silent Hill 2 talk, skip to about the 30-minute mark, all right? But otherwise, have a listen. We're going to talk video games. It's Q&A. We do play one, remake one, erase one. It's a fun time. I need to get my plugs out of the way quickly, so just indulge me for 3 minutes so I can keep the bill. I don't know, it's like 5 minutes, whatever the fuck. Let me keep the bills on around here. We have all kinds of merchandise. Christmas is coming up. They make, they're kind of shitty presents. But if you don't like someone very much, you can get them some of our stuff. You can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. And shout out to my man Joe from 4545 Creative for designing all of it. And of course, if you don't like clothes, Patreon is about the greatest deal in the history of the universe, because our Patreon is just $3 a month, and you get up to 4 extra shows that are ad-free every week. 4 extra shows. Not Remember the Game. Additional shows. There's 12 Patreon exclusive episodes over at Patreon right now that are free. Anybody can check them out. Just go over there, patreon.com/rememberthegame, see what they're all about. If you enjoy them, consider signing up to get tons more, all right? Every Monday, Mark McHugh and I review an episode of The Simpsons on Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Every Tuesday, I talk about all the biggest gaming news in the world with Game Patch. Every Thursday, it's Expansion Pass, where we talk about something different each week, but it's always, it's usually video game related. And then Friday is The Rambling Idiot, where I just vlog about whatever the fuck is on my mind. Expansion Pass, for my money, is the crown jewel of the bunch. And last week, it was Expansion Pass 231. Our Patreons got to pick our topic. And fittingly enough, leading into the Silent Hill 2 Remember the Game, they chose the most requested episodes of Remember the Game. So I started with the NES, I went all the way to the Xbox 360, PS3, and I went over which games I get the most requests for on each console and where they stand as far as a potential episode of the show down the road. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, the most requested Remember the Game episodes. The Super Nintendo. I gotta say, dude, I consider, if you were to ask me, Adam, which console do you know the library of the best? I would probably say the Super Nintendo. I feel like I've played most of the heavy hitters. I still get bombarded with Super Nintendo recommendations and requests all the time. It's probably the system I get the most suggestions and recommendations for. And this, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 games are no joke, just like a sliver, just a portion of the Super Nintendo pie. That is the games that I get recommended all the time. ActRaiser is far and away number 1. I've said it. I think I've said it since I started this show. ActRaiser is the biggest hole in my Super Nintendo resume. So that's now available in our archives. And this week it's Expansion Pass 232. And we're going to have some fun. See, now a while back, it was jokingly suggested that I review the children's game My Friend Peppa Pig. So I did. I was pretty hard on it, and it actually went over pretty well. It's probably one of our more popular episodes of Expansion Pass. If you're a Patreon, it's Expansion Pass 167, if you want to go back and find it. And ever since that episode, people have been after me to do a review of Bluey, the video game, another children's game. If you don't know what Bluey is, I don't either. It's some like Australian dog or something. So I played through Bluey, the video game, on Monday. And on this week's episode of Expansion Pass, I'll break down the plot twists, puzzles, and character arcs. And there are many for Bluey, the video game, my first Souls-like. Again, subscriptions start at just $3 a month. You get new shows every week, instant access to hundreds and hundreds of ad-free archive bonus podcasts. Not only that, you can also join the Remember the Game Discord. You get to vote in our Patreon polls. You get submit comments to the show. You can DM with me. You get discounts on your merch, and you even get a shout-out and get to hear your name mispronounced like I'm definitely going to do to some of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, Akiris Network, 0 for 1. Thunder Buddies, Bad Zoner, Godefroy La Guidune, Godefroy La Dune, Horror Stalgia, a podcast, Jeff Leopard, Sneaky Walrus, Ben O'Connor, Gabriel Hamilton, Cossie UK, The Great Game Sage, Kitsune, Bill Dickensheets, that's a misfortunate name, Rob Lindsay, Marvelous Mikey, Trippy Two Shoes, and Richard Harding. Thank you all so much for the support, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. You can find all that at patreon.com/rememberthegame. And if you didn't know, we donate 5% of our income over there to charity, and that charity is coming up. You're going to start hearing a lot about it, so I'm sorry if you get sick of it, but November 8th and 9th, 2024, it will be our 5th annual 24-hour stream to raise money for the Stollery Children's Hospital here through Extra Life. I will be on Twitch and YouTube now from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. both days. We're splitting it into 2 days again, both by popular request and because I want to. I'll be playing games. You'll be able to donate money. You'll get a tax receipt. If you donate at least $20, you'll be entered in a draw to win some prizes, and we'll be auctioning off a chance to be my guest on an episode of Remember the Game in 2025. Should be a gooder, so I hope you can come by and check that out. And yeah, I think that's it. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. And our first blower this week is Nostalgia. And I'm a sucker for these, so what can I say? I love indie games, and I like helping to support when I can. Nostalgia said, during this spooky season, I just want to shout out the old school horror nostalgia-inspired project I'm working on with my friends. Check out our game Home Call on Steam. Just added a new screenshot of the intro cinematic I'm working on these days. Wishlist our game to support our passion project, please. Cheers. So check it out. Another game built by a hot dog. Home Call. Home Call on Steam. Good luck, Joe. Good luck. Code E said, what's up, Brotato Chip? Long-time listener, first-time writer. I loved the show about Dino Park Tycoon, and it made me wonder, if you could design your own Tycoon game using any pre-existing franchise, which one would it be? Personally, an Umbrella Tycoon game would be fun. You manage various viruses and try to research new ones to infect the world. Kind of like the game Plague Inc., but with more obvious ties to Resident Evil. Keep up the great work, Bromato. Bromato, eh? I actually like that idea. I thought about this and because if I could design a tycoon game around anything, honestly, I would do like a podcasting tycoon game and make it a shitty mobile game and charge micros and question marks and then profits. But if you're asking me to make one based on like an existing game franchise, I really do like that idea of like a Plague Inc. spin on Umbrella Corp from Resident Evil. I genuinely think, fuck, that's a really, really good idea. I know it's bad radio, but I might steal your idea because I really like that one. I'm trying to think if there's another video game franchise that you could do a tycoon thing. Like, all right, okay, I'm a homer. Maybe like a Mega Man prequel tycoon where you play as Dr. Light and Dr. Wily together and you design robots and then just sell them to humanity to use. And then at the end of the game, all the robots turn on you. And then that's the start of Mega Man. But otherwise, I like the Umbrella idea. I think that's a really good idea. I'd play that. Man, Plague Inc. Shout out to Plague Inc. Good game. I used to play that on my iPad back in the early days of iPads. Good times. Pee-wee Squitters said, Adam, don't bring sheep to class blank. Has a scene in a game ever scared you so much that you just turned the console off? The dog jumping through the window in Resident Evil 1 did that to me. I was also like 8 years old at the time. I can't think of a specific scene that has made me just say, fuck this, and turn the console off. I will say the first time I hid in a locker in Outlast in the basement of that fucking mental asylum, and then that big fucking creature guy found me in the locker, that was when I quit Outlast for the first of like 8 times because it was just too scary for me. And then I won't spoil a specific, but in Resident Evil 8, I think that one's Village, yeah. There's a scene at the bottom of like a well, and then you hide under a bed, and that's the scariest thing I've ever seen in a video game. I didn't turn it off, but that was the scariest thing I've ever seen in a video game. That said, I'm about to play Alien Isolation, probably about to top it, from what I hear at least. Ugh. I'm dreading this Isolation playthrough. Smith said, good day, Mr. Blank. Congrats on beating Batman for the NES. Thank you very much. I did. If you didn't know, I did it on stream this last week. You can find the replays at twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I might upload an Adam Sucks at Video Games on YouTube, but I finally beat Batman on the NES after about a year of trying. I was pretty fucking proud of myself. So Smith said, it seems like you've knocked off a lot of difficult games this year. What games are next? It's really fun to watch. Thanks for all the hard work and great content. See, thank you, because I feel like those streams suck because I just sit there and get angry like a little bitch. I think Streets of Rage 2 is the next tough old game I'd like to... And I'm like, when I say beat it, like, no cheating, no emulating, no save states, no nothing. I'm just beating it fair and square. Because I beat Battletoads and Battle Maniacs a few months ago. I beat Batman on the NES last week. I think Streets of Rage 2 is next on my list. Or I'd really like to do Castlevania 3, but I think I want to do Streets of Rage first, and then I'll go to Castlevania. Where was I here? Vic to the Face said, in the midst of seemingly every gaming company laying off thousands of people and Ubisoft hanging on by a thread, From Software just announced an 11.8% increase in base salary for their employees, including a higher base pay for graduate hires. I know you're not a From Software fan, but do you have any thoughts regarding why? I have thoughts, but one big thing that stands out is that they reuse assets, build upon their older titles, and then make a game that can be sold at profitable margins, opposed to other companies who seem to chase trends and try to make a money generator for microtransactions that happens to contain a game. I will say, like, when I say I'm not a From Software fan, I have nothing but respect for the studio and their games. I just don't play their games because they make me angry. But, I mean, I guess my thoughts are just, I will, and I've talked about this on Game Patch, I will never not point to From Software as one of the, I would argue, one of the gold standards in the world of video game creation these days. Everybody that plays their game seems to review them well. The Souls and what was that one? Elden Ring that a couple of people played. Like, their games seem to go over like gangbusters. They're super well received. They never seem to hit you. Like they've got DLC and stuff, but the games aren't riddled with microtransactions. And like you said, they're just the epitome of, hey, give us time. We're gonna make a really good product, and then we'll sell it, and you'll buy it and enjoy it, and you'll get a great game, and we'll make money that we will then pass on to our staff, and then we'll go back and make another game. They're just, I think a lot of developers looking at you, Ubisoft, could fucking look at From Software and their presumably or apparently streamlined, rock solid business plan and model and learn a thing or two. From Software is a breath of fresh air in today's gaming world, in my opinion. Like, I really hope it doesn't come out that something bad's going on there. I don't think it is. They seem to keep their noses pretty clean. So no, nothing but respect for From Software. Martin Mercier said, "Good day, Mr. Adam. There's a console I think you do not visit often if you ever have. It's my precious Sega Master System. There are a couple of pretty good games on it. I know the controller is kind of shit, but do you think you could look at it in the future? It's not the NES, but it's still better than the Atari, and even if the games are basic, some of them have a good story or a nice concept at least." You know, I have no qualm or ill will with the Sega Master System. I just don't think I've ever played one. I've seen them with those weird cards, and they have some of the worst box art I've ever seen, which I think is fantastic. But I just don't think I've ever played a Master System, at least not off the top of my head. Maybe I've played one for the show, not realizing it was a Master System game. But I'm not opposed to reviewing them. Some of those old ones, like them, Atari and stuff, sometimes the tough thing is there's just not a lot of meat on the bone that can be hard to make a full episode out of. But yeah, I'm not, it certainly isn't in Sega Saturn territory. I'm not writing off the Master System. I just haven't really played any of it. That's all. Lord Blackheart said, "I've been listening to the show for a while, and I made comments on the Jurassic Park episode. I was wondering if you enjoy the Lego games, such as Star Wars, Pirates, etc. You know, I've tried Lego Avengers. I've tried the new Star Wars Skywalker Saga. And what's the other one? Indiana Jones, I think. I thought all three of them were really cute and charming, but I kind of got bored of all three of them after an hour or two and just kind of tapped out. So, I'm not going to say I'll never review a Lego game, but all three of them, I think I enjoy looking at them more than I enjoy playing them. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's just me, but I think they're quality. If I'd had them when I was younger, I think I would have loved them. And then finally, before we move on, it's letter time. Bryce Joel said, "I've been thinking about how so many video games are being subjected to this latest fad of review bombing that the new media has been enduring this year. Do you think the games being review bombed are actually so bad they need to have their credit score destroyed? Or do you think people in the gaming community are turning into spoiled pieces of shit nowadays?" I just have to cut in and be like, yeah, now they're turning into them. Gamers have been spoiled pieces of shit for since I was a lad, where we are spoiled pieces of shit. Anyways, and so are the game developers now. They didn't used to be, but they fucking are now. EA, you cunts. Anyways, Bryce continues. "Do we just have so many awesome games now that we don't give a shit if a 6 out of 10 game gets taken off the shelves because it's not a perfect 10? Or are the developers actually being lazy and ignorant? I tend to think people are spoiled, but maybe it's a bit of both. I'm mostly thinking of Star Wars Outlaws. I haven't played it, so I have my own ignorance, but it looks fine. Why are people being such dickheads? Your opinion?" Yeah, I definitely think this review bombing trend that the internet has taken on is obnoxious. And I understand that by saying this, I run the risk of getting review bombed. But it drives me, like, if a game really is bad, leave it a bad review. It doesn't, I'm not saying not to leave games bad reviews. But when people are just like, "Oh, I fucking hate that this character is this way," or "I fucking hate that this game has fucking microtransactions," even if it is like, say, a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 game, and then they're going on and leaving it 0 scores and 1 scores and review bombing it. I think it's ignorant, and I think it's stupid. That said, I ask you this, kind listeners. Does anybody out there choose the games that they will buy based entirely on Metacritic scores? Like, we all know Metacritic is kind of fucked, right? Like, we all use it, or I use it, but it's not that it isn't fucked. Whenever there's a game I'm on the fence about, I'll go on and read a few actual reviews, or I'll go watch some reviews on YouTube. Don't go to these quick-ass fucking scores that have all been review bombed. So, that said, I do think it's a bit of both. I do think that gamers are spoiled, and I do think now that, like, if every blade of grass isn't defined in 4K at 120 frames per second, ray tracing 4K gigahertz, then they're shitting all over a game, and that drives me crazy. But game developers, I'm not going to defend them, because What percentage of games these days come out, they're not done, they need to be patched, there's micros right out of the gate, there's DLC right out of the gate. Like, we all know that game developers are, for lack of better term, a lot of games are getting rushed out and half-assed. Half-assed is the word I'm looking for, I think. And then they're like, we'll fix it later. People buy it. And Ubisoft has brought this on themselves because they have released a lot of half-baked games and they put their games on sale all the time. We talked about this on Game Patch on Tuesday because they're kind of in trouble right now. And I think that's part of Star Wars Outlaws' problems. I know that was the reason I held off. A, because I was busy. But B, I was like, I don't know if I trust Ubisoft. So I will play it when it's on sale and I can try it out on a discount. So I think it is a bit of both. I think game developers have taken gamers for granted in our big wallets that they get all the money out of, and now they don't work as hard for that money, which, going back to From Software, is why I have so much respect for them. But on the other hand, I think gamers are entitled and are ignorant, and this review bombing practice is fucking stupid. There you go. Thank you, everybody that wrote in as always. We need to keep this ball rolling. So let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one, so we'll get to that one in just a minute. And this week, since we're talking Silent Hill 2, I basically went easy mode. I went Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 3, Silent Hill 4. You got to play one, remake one, and erase one. And 56% said play Silent Hill 3, remake Silent Hill 1, and erase Silent Hill 4. It was a runaway win. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer is. Code E said, I'd play Silent Hill 3. Apart from 2, it's the strongest in the series. I'd remake Silent Hill 1 in the Resident Evil remake style. Graphics aside, just moving around in this game feels like a chore, and that sort of remake could help a lot with this. And I'd delete Silent Hill 4. I played it for about 2 hours, and that's 2 hours I could have spent watching my ceiling fan go in circles and had more fun doing so. Sorry, not sorry. I'll tell you, you hear about it on the show a little bit this week. I have to try this Silent Hill 4 now. I need to see what the hate is about. I just want to make up my own, because some people hate on Final Fantasy VIII, and I like that game. That's always the one I go to. So I need to see what's wrong with Silent Hill 4. And hey, let's not fucking shit on watching a ceiling fan go in circles. You smoke a little Mary J and you watch a ceiling fan. That could be a good fucking night, man. Tantrum said, I'm just throwing this out there. Play Silent Hill 3 because I've not played this 1 or 4. Remake 4 and erase the original because I have played that scary fucking game. I respect that you're erasing the one you've played to play 2 that you haven't, but I'll tell you right now, Tantrum, if you thought that Silent Hill 1 was too scary, I don't think you'll enjoy Silent Hill 3. I thought 3 was scarier than 1. I thought 2 was scarier than... Well, I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy. I don't think Silent Hill is that scary. Resident Evil is scarier than Silent Hill. Shout at me if you want. Now, that said, Silent Hill 2 Remake might make me shit my pants. We'll see. But if you didn't like 1, I don't think you'll like 3. I looked at the Trap Ray, said I'd play Silent Hill. It needs a better remake, excuse me. But it's still good the way it is. Remake Silent Hill 4, as consulted and weird as it was, I found it enjoyable, marred by the fact it was surrounded by better games in the series. With some polish and retooling, it could be great. Just ditch the room getting possessed. It was a bore. Which means as much as I hate to do it, I have to erase Silent Hill 3. But since the rules don't say that I can't, I'd play through it one last time before giving it the Pyramid Head chop. I can live with that. That's a work around the rules is fine. If y'all want to start playing a game one last time before you erase it, I can live with that. And Tyler said, I'll play Silent Hill 3 because it's the one in the main series that I haven't played. It wouldn't run right on my computer, for fuck's sakes. That's because PC Master... I'm not going to shit on PC gaming. It's fine. Remake the first game because it deserves it. And then erase part 4 because I have played it and beat it. And I really enjoyed it, but one of them has to go. So obviously, some people say Silent Hill 4 sucks and I erased it. Some people are like, Silent Hill 4 is good, but I don't want to play it again. I'm going to erase it. A lot of people are throwing shade at Silent Hill 4. Not me. I'm going with 9% of the vote this week, as did Alan McCrary, who said the only Silent Hill I've played thoroughly was 4, and it holds a special place in my heart and I can't erase it. I heard 3 was good, but I'm going to have to erase that one. You can't erase the original since it did what it could with the original hardware. I'd like to see 1 or 4 remade, but given the options and the difference in generations of 1 versus 4, I will remake 1 and just play 4. Sorry, Silent Hill 3. I totally understand everything you said there, Alan, but reading it out loud, it sounded convoluted as fuck. I was like, No, you take Silent Hill 4 and it's like Silent Hill 1, but it's Silent Hill 3 was more newer than Silent Hill 1, but not as new as 4. So take 1, remake it like 3, but don't make it like 4 because 4 is already like 1 if it was made after 2, but before 3. I get what same order. So if you're wondering what Alan's fucking order was, it's the same order I have. I'm going to play Silent Hill 4 because it's the one I haven't and I need to see for myself if it's good. This is the problem. I don't want to erase Silent Hill 1 or 3, but if I've got to make the choice, I'm going to remake Silent Hill 1 because it needs the remake the most, and I'm going to erase Silent Hill 3 because as much as I like it, I need to play 4 to see why it sucks, and 1 needs a remake more. So I'm erasing 3. So there you go. Thanks everybody that wrote in and played along as always. What have I been playing over the last week? A lot of video games. Mass Effect 3, I'm right at the last mission. We're going to wrap that up. That review is coming in early November. Fuck, that game is so good. I've had a blast. Silent Hill 2, I just finished the original and I'll be firing up Silent Hill 2 Remake tonight. I've been playing The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite Zelda, but it's pretty good. I'll drop a review of that on Expansion Pass in the next few weeks. And I've been playing a little bit of NHL 25. I downloaded the trial off Game Pass, and I'm quite enjoying it. I haven't played it in NHL in about 10 years, so I'm a little lost when it comes to the controls and all the shit they've added. And it needs a fucking tutorial. It doesn't have fuck all for tutorials. It drives me crazy. But I think I'm going to pick up NHL 25 this year. I haven't bought one in if you're a casual guy or a casual player of these sports games, that's the way to go. You buy one, especially NHL, everyone talks about how it's the same game year after year, but with the roster updates, buy one every 3 or 4 years. That's what I'm doing. It's been 7 or 8 years. So it's time to buy. It's time to play. I'm going to play some NHL. I'm Canadian. I feel like I'm not playing enough hockey. So that's it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause here. I need a drink of water. We'll let a sponsor in. And when they're done, it's all Silent Hill talk the rest of the way. We'll be right back after this. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have 2 goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention. But when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. All right, let's get into Silent Hill 2. As always, I like to let the listeners sound off on the game we're covering before my guest and I hog the microphone, and we had no shortage of comments this week. Baldo Flores said, bar none, this was the scariest experience I've had. Movie, game, whatever. This game beat them all. I also had the stupid idea to only play it after midnight every night. I was not a smart boy. You know, I gotta say, I played some of this during daytime and some of this in the night, or actually early in the morning, like 5 a.m., when the sun wasn't up yet. And even if you take the scary out of the equation, I know I'm calling the obvious out here, but like it really needs to be played in the dark. Like Silent Hill 2 Remake, I was going to fire it up this afternoon, but it's like a bright sunny day. I'm going to wait. I'm in Edmonton. Sun will be down by like 7:30. Then I'll fire up some Silent Hill 2 Remake tonight. These need to be played in the dark. Molecule said it's crazy. When it first came out, I could barely play it. Those dark apartment corridors with the ghoulies, nope, didn't make it past there. Skip to this year. I fired it up on the PS2 and no issue. Still a bit scary, but with those block-o graphics, it just isn't the same. After dealing with Resident Evil 7, this is basically Peppa Pig. Agreed. I think part of the. I think Silent Hill 2 would have scared me more if I had played it when it came out. Playing it now, it's not that it wasn't scary. But A, I just find zombies scarier than the paranormal. And B, you're right. Like with the tank controls and the blocky graphics, it does take a little bit of the bite off. I agree. Punk Rock Geek said, this is so much more than a game for me. It is a true masterpiece equal to movies such as Shawshank Redemption. To this day, no game has been able to recreate this level of climatic dread mixed with such deep symbolism. And the sound design and the soundtrack, oh my God, a terrifying experience through and through. I don't know if I'd put it on the same level as Shawshank Redemption, but it is pretty good. I really like this game. I get why people are so passionate about it. Andrew Pritchett said, gosh, if there's a game that hit at the perfect time for me, it was this one. My roommates and I played through this when we were living in a trailer in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I've never been more scared of and simultaneously hooked on the same thing in my life. Shout out to all my former neighbors that are still in those mountains putting things back together after that stupid hurricane. We're all rooting for you. Playing that in the mountains does sound scary. And I'll just quickly say, shout out to anyone that was impacted by the hurricane that just passed or the fucking hurricane that's coming right now. Jesus Christ. Be safe. Fuck. Like, just fucking Mother Nature, just fucking like, go on a trip. Leave us alone for a few fucking days. Jesus Christ. And Beth, long comment, but it was well written, and I respect the passion. So Beth said, I'm a longtime horror game fan from the original Silent Hill and Resident Evil days, but I'm a massive chicken while playing them. After many attempts to play Silent Hill 2, I finally completed it using a walkthrough a few years ago on the 360. The game terrified me at first, which is why it took so many failed attempts. The growls, the breathing, etc. that would play in the background, although there was nothing there, was masterful. It kept me on edge and frightened to move even when I knew nothing was going to happen until a certain point at the start of the game, for example. But being scared while unraveling James's story as well as the other characters really just absorbed me in a way that no other game has. Yes, it's a horror game, but its soundtrack and the overwhelming bleak atmosphere and emptiness of the world really grounds it. Despite all of the messed up, terrifying stuff that's going on around you, I really felt like I'd survived something horrific when I completed it. I know this is already long, but I really just want to say I think the soundtrack is as incredible as the game and perfectly nails the unsettling, sad, chilling otherworldness of Silent Hill 2. Well said. I gotta say, Patrick and I talked for about an hour about this game. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember us really bringing up the soundtrack at all. A lot of you wrote in about the soundtrack. The soundtrack was fine. Maybe I just missed. I didn't. Now I should say I played the HD make, the collection one. And before anybody writes in and says, oh, the HD version sucks, it's a lot cheaper than a fucking version of it on the PS2. And I've never played the PS2 version to compare it, so it's fine. I didn't think the music was anything that crazy, but maybe that was the HD version. I don't know. I also did forget to mention in our review that there are times when, you're walking, especially in that fucking hospital. I hate that fucking hospital. Where you're walking and you'll hear like, and then you turn around and there's nothing. That fucked with me as well. That I wholeheartedly agree with. And the music's good. I didn't find it as noteworthy as some of you, but maybe I just don't have the ear palette that some of you have. Anyways, I've talked enough. I guess I'm going to talk some more with Patrick. It's time to talk some Silent Hill 2. I will cue up some of that music. And when it stops, we are in fact finally talking Silent Hill 2, which originally released in North America on the PS2 on September 21st, 2001. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, joining me via the blank phone on an early, crisp, foggy Sunday morning. A perfect time in the fall, too. The best time of year. Halloween is upon us. It is the best time to record this. One of the most anticipated episodes in the history of Remember the Game, Silent Hill 2. And who better to talk about it with me than the man who helped me review both Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3, and that is my boy Patrick. I haven't talked to you in a while, man. How are you? How's life?
I'm doing very good, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be reviewing this game and what could possibly be the strangest order to have gone through these three.
Yeah, no shit. I think we did 3, 1, 2. Was the order I played this Silent Hills in.
Yeah.
So, for all of you yelling at me, hey, I fucking got here, okay? I played all 3. I made it to the end. We did it. I'll ask you let's just attack the low-hanging fruit here first. Take away Silent Hill 4 for a minute, because I haven't played Silent Hill 4. Is Silent Hill 2 the best of the original trilogy for you?
I'm conflicted because I originally, that's how I felt. I understand that's the kind of the general consensus of the franchise. 2 is the kind of the pinnacle of it. Mm-hmm. I do really like it. While I was playing through it again to kind of familiarize myself with the game, I found myself comparing like how much I enjoyed playing 3 again.
Okay.
And almost feeling like I liked 3 a little bit more than this, but I understand this is a better game in terms of the lore and the story and everything. This does so much good. But just gameplay wise, I felt like the tone of everything, I felt I liked 3 a little bit more, but 2 is absolutely fantastic.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody wrote into the show and said, I still haven't forgiven you for the way you treated Silent Hill. And I said, I like all 3 of these. Like, I don't think we've been hard on Silent Hill. I will say I like, because the inevitable comparison between Silent Hill and Resident Evil is always going to come up. I prefer Resident Evil because I like the zombie thing more than the paranormal thing. But I like Silent Hill 1 and 3. I will say this is my favorite of the. I see why so many people think 2 is kind of the pinnacle. I think I like it a little better. One thing, and I've already warned people, we're spoiling stuff. We're spoiling. One thing I really got a trip out of playing this game was, because this was the last of the 3 that I played, realizing that, like, as stupid as it sounds, it is the same town that I was in for Silent Hill 1 and 3. And then, like, in Silent Hill 3, there's like that whole part where you're in the old hospital. And I was playing through Silent Hill 2, and I was like, well, none of this is as creepy as that fucking hospital. And then I ended up back in that fucking hospital, and I was like, now that I've played all 3 of the original games, I really like that they, like, I know Silent Hill 2 is a different character, like a different story than 1 and 3, but like that they're all set in the same town and everything, and I'm going to the same places and stuff. I think that's the
same backdrop, cool.
Yeah. It's like it's different characters dropped into the same setting, experiencing different things. Now that said, am I wrong to be confused by the story of these games? Because while I enjoyed it, I still don't entirely know what the fuck is going on.
That's the thing, man. I think that's what speaks to what's so good about this game is, like, I feel like you could write an entire paper on the story and the underlying themes of what's going on in this game and even in this franchise as a whole. But like, I feel like you have to have some kind of degree to really understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because even as you messaged me as you were finishing it, and we kind of had that talk, is like, as I'm playing it again, it's like, man, I don't really remember what's going on here. And playing through it, I'm not immediately understanding what's happening as well.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like I could hear the criticism, and so when I finished this game, I went online, and I'll be honest, first thing I did was go to the Wikipedia page and read the summation of the plot to be like, did I misinterpret all of this?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think part of the brilliance of the plot of this game is that it is, to an extent, open to interpretation on how you see it and stuff. But reading about it, like, because I Googled, like, is Silent Hill 2 confusing? And it seems to be about 70-30. 70% of people are like, no, this is how I interpret the game. And then there's about a third of the people out there that are like, yes, I don't think the plot even makes an ounce of sense, and I think it's weird and kind of dumb. And I disagree, but I got to say, I understand why some people come at it that way. From a personal perspective, the story isn't what kept me playing, but I think the game was so fun that, like, by the time it was done, I was like, even though I don't quite know what the fuck just happened, like, I never once found myself bored. If you go back to the Silent Hill 3 review, I called it Closed Door Simulator. because
I mean, I'm surprised you're not going to say the same thing about this one.
it is. It is nice to go back to the world of Closed Door Simulator. But now that I've played all 3 of the first Silent Hill games, I think what you were saying during the Silent Hill 3 review is really hitting more home with me, where it's the tension of clicking every door and like, nope. And then when
100%,
you're almost, part of you is excited when a door opens. Part of you is almost like, fuck, because there's going to be something behind there.
Yeah,
and I
think that speaks to how well like this game is. Like you like to make that comparison of Resident Evil and Silent Hill. You know, Resident Evil is almost like it's psychological horror, but it's almost more of an action horror. You know, you've got a lot more combat, where Silent Hill becomes a very psychological horror where there's not a whole lot of combat. There's a lot of moving around in tight, narrow spaces. And yeah, you do get weapons and guns. You can focus on, shooting every enemy, but you come into an area, you look at the map, and there's just a dozen doors, and you're like, fuck, like I got to go through all of this. And like, I don't know what's going to be where, and things in the hallway, and you can just hear the static of the radio the whole time. And it just speaks to just like how much it's really kind of getting to you with the tension of it. It's a slower paced kind of game that doesn't necessarily depend on combat at all. You can run past almost every enemy in the game if you want to.
I did run past a lot of them. Yeah, I didn't. Well, because I didn't want to get into that quite yet, but let's just tackle that thing. I will say, and it's a criticism, but I'm not going to take points off for this criticism. The combat, now that I've played 3 Silent Hill games, like the combat really isn't all that special. I understand that that's not by any. It's the reason I think it's because it's not the emphasis. They're like, the combat's not. We want you to worry about the atmosphere, the storytelling, the puzzles. The combat is almost like a by necessity thing. But the combat in this game, like, I used melee weapons for most of the game. I used the pipe for most of the game, and the way you just stand there and you just hold the like attack button for James, and the enemy will like look at you, and it takes about 2/3 of a second before you even swing your weapon. Like it's really not. Even the boss fights, like I found the boss fights, all I did was keep my distance, hold lock on, and just mash attack.
Yeah,
I
like that. I mean, like thematically, it kind of feels fitting because you're not a cop. You're not anybody with any kind of training. You're just a guy who's thrown into this crazy situation.
Sure.
And you got a board with a nail in it. Like, like, and the enemies aren't just gonna be like, running away, like,
I thought that as well.
Nail, right? Like,
he's got a board with a nail in it. I thought that as well.
It's not, right? It doesn't have the kind of staying power that we feel it should. And so he's just a dude, swinging his board with a nail at these horrible monsters, like, he's not a super soldier. He's not anybody with any training. And it fits in that way that, it's a little clunky. It's a little difficult, thematically. I think that works really well.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I agree. Like I said, it's more of just, again, like I know the criticism, the combat really isn't the biggest slice of the Silent Hill pie, but it's just like when I did have to do it, I would say honestly, it was about the only time in the game where I was kind of just like, fuck. And it was one thing when it was just like a random creepy dead nurse thing in the hall or whatever the fuck they are. But when you did get into the occasional boss fight, like the one where the patients are strapped to the bed and they're on the ceiling and you got to shoot. I didn't hate it, but I just was kind of like, this is not where I'll be honest, I think the game could do without the boss fights. Like, I don't think they're necessary, but I didn't feel they took away from the game. They were just something I had to get done to go back to playing the fun part of the game.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you're right that James is not like a trained like Navy SEAL or anything, but he is a murderer. So I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. But we'll get there. The combat was kind of meh. I will say I thought it was really cool that you could get Pyramid Head's I don't know what you call it.
Knife.
Sword, knife, whatever the fuck.
The great knife, great knife.
Yeah, but I went and got it, and I was like, oh, fucking sick. And then I equipped it, and then you like literally walk
drag
like
it behind you.
Yeah, you walk like him, and I was like, well, this is fucking useless. I think I used it to kill one enemy just to say I could do it, and I was like,
one enemy, and then at the very end, I used it for dramatic effect.
Oh, that's
very
I should have done that. I just used the pistol. I should have done that. I gotta say too, everyone's been hyping up this Pyramid Head, and I've been hearing about this Pyramid Head. He's cool. Like she, I don't know, but Pyramid Head is cool. But I didn't find Pyramid Head as scary as I thought I would. I like he pops up at random times, and it's the one part where he's chasing you and Maria or whatever her name is through the hallway is pretty creepy.
Yeah.
But whenever
that's probably the scariest. Actually, I think we're the like non-boss fight encounters with him. So like in that hallway, that kind of circular hallway where you get the great knife, where he's patrolling. There's a few areas where he's patrolling around.
Yeah. And
they put you in areas where if you come across him, you're kind of stuck. The like room fights with him are not as like terrifying.
No, like it was. I think that was my problem with them was like because like early on in the game you fight him that one time, or after you beat him, he goes down the stairs into the water, and he's a cool character, no question. He's really. I really thought he was
iconic.
Absolutely, and like I can't wait to see what they do with him in the remake. We'll talk about the remake at the end of this episode, but I can't wait to see what they do with him in the remake. But I think what kind of neutered him for me just a little bit was that I beat him in a fight so early in the game.
Right, Adam. Well, I mean, you feel like you never really defeat him, right? He just kind of gives up on you.
Right, but when I did that, I don't know. Call it some can argue with me if you want to. Like I'm not dissing the character, but I expected him to be like the final boss of the game. And then it was like, oh no, you're like 3 hours in, pump him full of bullets, and he just gives up and walks away. And I was like, come on, you're supposed to be this big baddie, you pussy. Where are you going? You know, and it was And then
I would have loved if they made him more of like a looming presence throughout some of the stuff. Like if he was maybe more present in the outside, like in the actual, the street part of it.
Oh,
if he was out there, I think that could have been really cool to kind of have him as like an ever looming force, in comparison to like a Mr. X or like a Nemesis type thing where he shows up in these kind of inconvenient parts where you're a little more afraid of he could show up anywhere. But it does feel like
That's what I was thinking too. Like again, I hate to keep going back to the Resident Evil comparisons, but like everyone had said like this is Silent Hill's Mr. X, which I see now 100%. But I think like Mr. X creeped me out more than Pyramid Head because Mr. X, I was like, if he gets a hold of me, it's over. Whereas like Pyramid Head, A, I already beat him in a fight. B, when he does show up, like it would like when I'd run around a corner, like you said, there's parts where he's lurking, and you'd run around a corner and see him, and it would just be like it'd be the Grandpa Simpson meme where I'd like run around the corner and then just be like whoop and run back around the corner and get away. But like once you knew where he was, then you just kind of ran away, and then he just never caught you again.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. I not slamming him, but I really do think it would have been more intimidating or something. Yeah, if like when you were out in the streets and all the fog and everything and the static on your radio was acting up and you never know if it's him or if it's just like a minion. And then when he shows up, go walking through the fog, you're like, fuck. Yeah. But I absolutely iconic, really cool looking character. And that part at the end where you fight two of them and then they just kill themselves.
Yeah.
That was fucked. That I didn't see the death. I didn't see the suicide coming. That was fucked.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. These are dark fucking games, man. Holy
It Jesus. Is, yeah. And I think that's where people really hold on to these games is it's a great game. It plays well. And confusing or not about the story, like if you look into it, it's just the themes that it deals with are really heavy and really hit on that like psychological aspect of the horror. Like it really is about, the internal torment of these characters and what they're manifesting for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I really liked about this game, and I guess Silent Hill 1 and 3 did it as well, but now that I'm done all three, like it's really, I feel like this was like the whole franchise really clicked into place with me with this one. Like the first two, 1 and 3 I liked, but now playing this one and just playing this, I'm not by any means saying that Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 are the same game because they're not, but they have obviously the same DNA, right? Like the fog, the doors, the creepy town, all that.
Cameras, the controls.
Yeah, the cameras, the controls, which I'm gonna keep defending them, guys. Tank controls in retro horror games are fine. I like tank controls.
Yeah, absolutely.
That said, I'm really hoping that the remake of this is like Resident Evil 2 remake, where they're like, oh no, forget the tank controls. This is action, I really like how this game, like at the very beginning, when you're at that like gas station and then you're kind of just running down that path and you're in the woods and you're in the graveyard and all that, it feels open and nice. Like it almost smells like a nice fall day. And then you get into the town and it's like, well, this is kind of creepy. Then you go into those apartments and that's the first time you have to go inside. And more so than any other Silent Hill game, it really clicked with me. Like I felt this almost like this sense of relief when I got outside again. Like because they felt so claustrophobic being in this fucking old apartment.
Yeah.
And I know the other two I've played were like that as well. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know, for some reason this one just clicked with me more than them in that juxtaposition where I was so excited to get outside, but then after you get outside and there's fog everywhere and the radio's going off and I know something is coming to kill me, but I don't know where the fuck it is, then I'd almost get excited to get back inside because I'd be like, well, at least there's no fog and I can see who's coming to kill me in here.
Yeah.
And so they were tense, but for different reasons.
Yeah, what I will say about kind of that dynamic is I felt like the outer world, like the street levels, were done better in Silent Hill 1 because I felt more of a threat in the streets with Silent Hill 1. And specifically, I think it might have had to do with the flying characters because in Silent Hill 2, I found I could ignore everything. If you didn't want to, like I went around like killing everything I could, but after a while you could start ignoring stuff and just, the streets were so wide and you had so much time and room to just navigate through them without any issue. That it becomes like you start to become kind of, like just exhausted of that. They're not even a threat anymore when they're outside. But in Silent Hill 1, I tried that the first time I ever played through it. I was just running past everything and I ended up with a game save. I think I mentioned this the first time we talked about Silent Hill 1. I ended up with a game save where I just couldn't do anything because I had so many of these like flying creatures coming after me that if I stopped to take a break or anything, or if I stopped to investigate anything, they would catch up and they'd just start beating the shit out of me.
No, you're right.
And I didn't have that kind of threat and fear. Like it gave me to the point where I was too afraid to keep playing the first one. And this one just doesn't have that. It's still done really well, but it does become a kind of a part where you just can sneak by or run by these things that will never really catch you. They won't continue to chase you. At some point, you can outrun them.
I agree with that. And I think, like, I was literally just thinking about it while you were explaining that. Maybe that's part of the reason Silent Hill 2 is my personal favorite of the three, is because I don't particularly enjoy the combat in Silent Hill. I understand that it's a necessary evil. And you're right. I feel like the jump from Silent Hill 1 to Silent Hill 2, they realized, like, hey, this game's not about its combat. So if you don't want to fight most of these guys, don't sweat it. And maybe that's why I liked it better, because I didn't have to fight them. But you are right, especially by about the halfway point of the game. Like, I didn't even particularly find it scary. I was scared when I was inside. Dude, when you're in that fucking old prison, Jesus Christ, we'll get there. But when you're outside by about the halfway point of the game, I wasn't scared of anything. Because I was like, there aren't any enemies that can catch up to me. They're just kind of stumbling around like zombies, and I have tons of space, and I'm just running by them, and I don't care. And that's where, again, if you had Pyramid Head just stalking you outside, I think that might have added something to the horror of that.
Or if you threw in like an enemy that you like, if they introduced a new enemy into the street level or something, or because it starts to become like there's a core group of several of these characters or these enemies, but there becomes a lack of variety where they just keep throwing the same ones over and over. Yeah. And you start to go, okay, I know how these act. I know how they react. Like, I don't really have to be too worried about it.
Yeah.
And then, and I kind of felt the same thing where I was like, I'm not really seeing them as a threat anymore. I'm not really scared anymore. But then they they start throwing stuff at you that takes you out of that comfort. Like you mentioned, when you get into like the prison and into those like hallways full of water and stuff, and it becomes that like maze aspect. Then it starts to like, you get uncomfortable again and you're like, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing.
Absolutely. And to kind of put a bow on that, I think, and again, this all just kind of clicking with me now. I think that's why this game spoke to me so much, because I like that they really got away from I was still scared. Like even outside, I was like, this is uncomfortable. Inside, it was fucking, I hated it at times, but it wasn't so much the enemies. Like the enemies almost became like an after effect. I was like, it's the psychological aspect of being in this fucking town.
Yeah.
And I like that they didn't rely on the combat to do it. I will say, I love that in this game, much like the other ones, once you kill an enemy, you have to do the classic, like, fucking curb stomp to shut them down.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. And I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're nurses or mannequins, or I think they're maybe like patients of like a crazy doctor. I don't know. But those ones where it's four legs.
The mannequins. Yeah.
When they come out from like under a car or something, that shit's fucking. Made me jump a little bit. That was fucking. Those were fucking creepy, man. I didn't.
Yeah, I had a few moments of those. Yeah, or like what they do when they turn, in the hotel later on, where you have to drop off all your equipment into that elevator storage to be able to take the elevator down.
Yeah.
And then you first turn that first corner, you got no light, you're not making any sound. They don't react. They can always stand still. It's like now you just have your face with like, I have to just run past this thing that I've been beating the shit out of the whole game.
Yeah.
And you have nothing. You have no way to like protect yourself. That's just like they just keep doing these things to throw a little, like every time you get comfortable and you feel like maybe too powerful, they do something to like, all right, now deal with this.
Yeah, totally. I actually really liked that part where if you haven't played it, there's one part where you're in like the hotel. It's near the end of the game, and you have to take the employee elevator down. But it's got a note that says it can only handle one person at a time. And so you basically have to take every piece of equipment you have and leave it on a shelf there and go down empty-handed, which, like Patrick just said, is weird when you spent the whole game with this pipe and this crowbar or the board with a nail in it and the various guns and stuff like that. But I did think it was funny that, like, so I step in the elevator and the buzzer is going off and it won't let me go down. So I'm like, all right. So I got rid of like all my guns, thinking like those are my heaviest things. And then I got back in and it's still going off. So I'm like, all right. So I'm getting rid of more and more and more. And then finally by the end, I think all I had was a key. And I got in the elevator and it's still buzzing. And I was like, okay, clearly the game is just like get rid of everything. But I did find it funny that this like 1 ounce
the key is too much.
Was I was like, it's a good thing I didn't eat a big lunch or this elevator wouldn't let me fucking go down it right now.
Yeah. I guess all the employees of this hotel weigh exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I really like that concept that because I can't, now I haven't played Silent Hill 1 or 3 since I played them for the show, but I can't think of is there another point in Silent Hill where like you just lose all your equipment that late in the game? I can't think of one.
Not that I could think of.
No, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was maybe the creepiest part of the fucking game. Like you said, you go down into this dark basement hallway. It's tight. You can't see. I love that this game won't let you look at your map unless you have your flashlight or you're standing in light.
Mm-hmm.
Great touch. Great fucking touch.
Yeah, that's a good.
That basement freaked me the fuck out. Yeah, that hotel.
Yeah, I liked in that part too. So you go through and you deal with a couple mannequins, and then you get back to the spot on the second floor where you get all your equipment back, and there's 2 mannequins right in the hallway, and you're like, all right, now it's time to fuck this shit up.
Yeah.
You step out and they're gone, and they just like, you're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yes, that fucked with me. I was like, because you're right. After you lose your equipment for a while, you're like, all right, now it's time to pay, and then they're oh, came out to fight and they're all gone. Yeah, I really liked that. I like that. Okay, we're gonna have to go for a break soon. I want to talk about more of the story and the puzzles and stuff after the break because those are a deep discussion. But I like that you can set the puzzle difficulty and the combat difficulty separately from each other. I thought that was really, really cool. That said, like I played it on normal for both, and I found, and we'll talk more puzzles in a minute. But I found some of the combat never gave me any trouble. The puzzles on occasion fucked me around. Yeah, these dude.
Absolutely.
How somebody, I'll ask you that, and there's no shame in it. I'll be honest. I didn't use a walkthrough to beat any of these games, but I had to look stuff up for all 3 of the Silent Hill games.
Yeah.
How somebody beat these pre-internet, I guess Silent Hill, none of them existed pre-internet, but like how somebody could beat these without having to look anything up, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean, I only imagine it would have been like the time of Bradley game guides or you know strategy books and stuff like that. I know I definitely when I played through Silent Hill 4, the day I bought it, I bought the game guide as well because I was like, I'm not going through another Silent Hill game like this, especially one that is very clearly set in some sort of apartment setting.
Totally,
I don't want to go through this constant running around and worrying about missing things or not just aimlessly running around terrified.
Yeah, and okay, go ahead.
The puzzle aspect of it, it's just like some of them. I've never played Silent Hill on any hard difficulties, but when I look at walkthroughs at what the hard puzzles are, it's like there's no way I would have figured this out.
Buddy,
either I'm too stupid for this or like I don't know what.
Yeah, what the fuck? You like some of the holy jumping baby. Some of the fucking puzzles on hard. I same thing because when you look up a walkthrough, they show explanations for like easy, normal, hard, and whatever the fuck. And I would read some of them on hard to see if I would have solved them, and I'm like, there's no way. I'm not a particularly intelligent man, but there is no fucking way. Even some of them on normal, I was like, playing this. I mean, I was gonna say like a kid playing this, but I don't know how many kids played this. But if I tried to play these when I was like 12 or 13, I would have been completely fucked. There's no way.
Yeah, it feels like on hard you'd have to have like a psychology major and like a minor in like poetry or something.
Yeah.
To understand like some of these riddles.
100%. One last thing I wanted to touch on before we go to a break, and you mentioned this. I've played Silent Hill 1, 2, 3. I've played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4. I've played Parasite Eve. I've played Dino Crisis. I know that a product of the times with these games is that they don't make every item you can interact with like flash or sparkle, so you know. So there's a lot of just walking through the game, mashing the interact button to see if you pick up like an item that's sitting there or whatever the fuck. So I get it. Like I've played enough to understand it's a mechanic, but it will never not just make me a little bit batty and it happened to me twice in this game where I couldn't figure out what to do. So I'd finally look up the walkthrough and it would say like, go into this room and pick up a hook or whatever the fuck. And I go there and it was literally right in front of me. I just must not have had it turned quite the right way to pick it up. Like I wish they'd be a little bit more lenient on how accurately you need to look at something to pick it up or interact with it. Maybe if that makes sense, like a bigger hitbox window or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that they negate that is your character's always looking at an item, like the head. If you're watching the head is the big giveaway, right? So if you know in a room that if you turn away and the head is still looking, there's something there. There were points like that where I thought I got everything, but I'm like, oh, there's something obviously still in this room to look at because the character is not, snapping back to looking the way I'm looking.
Now,
and you kind of investigate a little further.
Now, I agree with that, but the two instances where I got fucked was when Maria was following me around and James could not take his fucking eyes off this lady. And so then I couldn't tell if he was looking at her and that I will say that is a straight up criticism of this game. Like, why make him look at her all the time? Because you're right.
Well, my understanding is I think that has something to do with how they calculate the endings that you get from what I've read afterwards.
Yes.
How much time you spend with her or like bumping into her, whatever equates to that. But I do. That is a criticism I have of the game is I hate escort missions of a character, especially one that I didn't find to be particularly likable. I felt no attachment to like not shooting her or, giving any mind to her during the gameplay at all.
That part where Pyramid Head kills her as you're like in the elevator. And James sits down and he's like crying. And I'm like, well, first of all, like you didn't even like hesitate to be like, get in there. You just went through the door and like left her to die. And second of all, I was like, well, that's okay. I was like, I didn't really like her anyways. That's fine.
Yeah, the frustrating part about that is like if he kills her during that hallway sequence, like you got to keep doing it. But then the end result is just to get to the elevator and have her kill her anyway.
Exactly.
Or you think kill her.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, this could have been solved if you just killed her up front and I could have just walked down the hallway in the elevator.
Exactly. But I was so excited when she was dead because I agree with you. Like it fucking the way he like it's almost fucking paranormal the way he looks at some items because like his head turns in ways that I'm like, I don't know if it should be turning that way. But anytime Maria's following you around, that's all out the window. Especially if you're like, dude, sometimes you'll go into like a really tight room.
Yeah.
And it's barely enough room for the two of you to even stand. And they're sitting there I need to interact with, but James is just keeping his eyes on this woman all the fucking time. So that is one minor criticism I had was the fucking and like you said, it's a great point. At the end of the day, I'm like, I don't even like you. Like fucking I don't know if you're just teasing me because you look like my wife.
You ain't shit to me.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like a lady of the night and you're trying to get some of my money, but I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Leave me alone. So
I understand in like if you look at the lore of it, you kind of think about it as like this woman looks exactly like his dead wife who he's here to find.
Totally.
And so he's going to be constantly like, I can't believe you're not her. You look exactly like her. And you find out, like, you look at the lore and the story, like she is the manifestation of what he, like, the idealized version of his wife looks like and acts like.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in that sense. It's just like, this is the perfect version of his dead wife that he has created out of fantasy. And so he's just walking around with her, staring at her the whole time.
Yeah. The story of it is great. It's just the fact that it fucks up
in the moment.
Mechanic.
You're like, stop fucking looking around.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I am sick of walking through this fucking hospital. There has to be a key somewhere. Would you take your eyes off her for 2 seconds and look at that desk and tell me if there's a fucking key there, please? For fuck's sakes. Anyway, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll pause here. We'll let a sponsor in to peddle some wares. When we get back, I want to go over some of the puzzles. I want to talk about the rest of these weird-ass characters and the stories and remake. We have lots to cover. We'll be right back after this. All right, we still have quite a bit to unpack. Let's talk about the puzzles. Every time I have to look up a puzzle in a Silent Hill game, I read the answer and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I would have figured that out. Like, and in Silent Hill 1 or 3, I can't remember. I think it was 1. It was like the piano puzzle. I was never figuring that out. In this one, you know which one really fucked me up? Was the one where you need to get the 3 coins and put them into the 5 slots. Because there is one of the clues is at the far left is the seducer of women, I think, or the seducer of the lady or something. And
right, yeah, because it's the man on the left, right?
I thought it was the man token, but it was the snake because the snake seduced Eve in the garden.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And
right.
I was like, when I finally looked it up, I was just because I was right. Other than that, and when I looked it up, I was like, I guess I knew that the snake. Like, I'm not a religious man. I know there's like the snake that said, and I know that from The Simpsons, frankly, that there was the snake in the garden. But I was like, I would have never the puzzles are brilliant, but some of them, in my opinion, are just a little too niche for the general populace, if that makes sense. Like you said, you need to be a literature major to know some of this shit. That was the one that gave me the most problems in this game, I think. I don't remember having to look up as many as I did in 1 or 3, but that one fucked me around.
I did like the ones that like it was just you picked up memos. It was like numbers or things like that. Or
me too.
One that really got me that drove me nuts was the I think it's later on in the hotel, and you get there's like a briefcase and it's got the rolling letters.
Yeah.
And you pick it. There's a bed with all the photographs. You pick up one. It's a picture of the answer, but it's got like the marker on it, and you have to use the
paint thinner,
to take it off. Yeah. And I don't know if that's just the wrong item to have done that with, because like in my head I was like, that feels like paint thinner would destroy the photo.
I thought that as well. Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like, so I struggle with that because I'm like, I didn't even remember I had it. Right. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, how do I look at this thing? And I mean, that feels like a stupid one because it's like, okay, you just look at your stuff and it has to be the only thing you have to do it. But I didn't even like consider that I had it in my inventory. And that was kind of a criticism I had of this game is you end up keeping so much shit for the style of inventory that they give you, that kind of circular wheel of rotating stuff as you go through it, that I almost forgot about some of the stuff I had that I needed for puzzles because I'm like, I'm keeping so many items. There's just some items that like don't ever disappear out of your inventory, or you just amass so many like I wish when you get the pipe, you just threw the board with the nail away.
Yeah.
You're never going to use it again, Like,
yeah, agreed.
And it felt like I forgot. I had to like cycle through being like, oh, I forgot I had this thing that's like hidden back here.
Or like, I don't know if it, maybe it applies to one of the other endings and I didn't do it right properly, but like you have the photo of Mary, the letter from Mary, the knife with the red liquid on it that I think this knife has red liquid on it. Like some of those, and I never used them for anything.
Yeah.
And I just was like, the inventory could be a little bit of a bitch to navigate. It's funny you bring up that puzzle with the briefcase. I saw the first picture with the giant X on it and assumed X was one of the letters. And so then I was walking around that room mashing the button to see if there was like something else with another letter on it. Mm-hmm. And then I finally was like, all right, like, cause that's the thing about these games is you can bash your head against the wall for a while. And eventually you realize like, or eventually I'll be like, maybe I don't have everything. Like I'll come back. And in that case, it worked out. But I just assumed that was one of the 4 letters. And so I was looking for the rest of the fucking letters.
Right. Yeah.
And it made me feel like kind of a dumbass, but I
do like in those puzzles that like, especially in that one, there's a multitude of words that it can spell. Like it's always randomized. Mm-hmm. And there was another one where they did that too. The keypad when you're in the elevator with all the cockroaches or whatever in the prison, I think. And it's like, it's obviously the 3 that are lit up, but it's like, it can be any 6 combinations of that. And so you're just frantically like trying to type in 6 combinations of those 3 numbers, but that always like changes. So it's like, you can't even look up a thing. Like you can't just punch that in. You got to deal with what's going on and try and figure it out.
That was, so in Silent Hill 3, to me, the creepiest part of the entire game is when you're in that fucking room in the hospital that's like turning red and you die in there eventually. Mm-hmm. And in this one, it was that fucking elevator with those fucking, because I hate bugs. And so it'd be like you're surrounded by bugs and cockroaches or whatever the fuck they are. And then, there's 3 buttons on a 9-button touchpad that are like, they're like highlighted. But the combo is random. And every time you put it in and it's wrong, you can't just try again. You have to let it fucking pull out to the scene where you're surrounded by fucking bugs again. And I hated that. I'm lucky I got it on the second or third try, but I fucking hated that because I hate bugs. Fuck that noise, man. Oh my God. Also, I was excited when I went to the room that did turn into the blood room in Silent Hill 3, and it wasn't like that in this one. And I was like, I remember this room. But this is, I love that the hospital is the exact same layout. I thought that was awesome. Like I think that's the creepiest setting you can have in a video game is an old hospital.
Yeah, and like that's what's exciting. You get into Silent Hill 3 when you're playing it. You know, if you were playing it chronologically, as most normal people would have done,
of course. Yes.
You get back to the hospital, you're like, oh, cool. Like I've been here. Like this is such a prominent part of the last one.
Yeah.
That you're revisiting it.
I liked the hospital in this game. I will say that in this one, I found the sewer to be, the prison. I found the prison.
Yeah, I felt that was the scariest part.
100%. That prison's fucking creepy as shit. And only time in this game where the closed door started to irritate me was going through every cell block and trying every cell.
When I got to the prison, I looked at the map. I was like, Adam is going to hate this.
Yeah, the only time, like again, I've moved on from the closed door simulator. I get the logic. I do think there was a little bit of overkill in the prison, a little bit. That said, though, it was pretty obvious which ones you could go into, like they were open. So.
I love the disrespect in the beginning of the game where you're like, I'm finally leaving the apartment at the fire escape. You open the door and it's just a window to another apartment. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, good. Dude, nice little fuck you.
And that was one of the times, I forgot about that. That's one of the times where I got kind of, and it turned out it didn't matter, but there was like a bunch of like, I can't remember what was in the toilet. But I didn't interact with the toilet because he didn't look at the toilet. Oh, yeah,
because you got to, it's like I can't remember what it was, a book or something, or like a journal or something like that. Yeah.
It was pretty gross, but I didn't interact with that. Also, in that second apartment, that's where you first run it. Oh, I love that when you try to leave that first apartment, and he's like, I should look around here more. I was like, thank you for not letting me.
Just go back and run through the other apartment.
Yeah. Because, like, I remember in Silent Hill 1 in particular, there's a part right at the very beginning where you need to find, like, a piece of paper that's near, like, a cliff where the roads have collapsed. And it can be a very cryptic, like, I have no idea where the fuck to go game. I didn't find Silent Hill 2. Like, they really improved on that in this game.
Yeah, there was a part where if you don't meet Eddie for the first time when he's, like, throwing up in the toilet, if you don't do that, it doesn't allow you to cross across the building, I think. And so you have to like just find, if you don't investigate that one room and trigger that cutscene, you can't continue on. And I don't think it really explains like what you have to do. It just doesn't allow you to do it.
No, you're right. Cause I actually had to look at what it was. Cause I had to look that up. And after I looked it up, I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. What it was in the second apartment, there was one of the apartments was locked. And then once you go and run into Eddie and trigger the cutscene where he's puking, now that door is open.
And then the door is just unlocked,
And I had gone and talked to Eddie, and I had ran through this whole apartment and tried every door, and I was like, I don't know where to go. And then when I looked it up, and they said, once you talk to Eddie, the door is open. And I not like game breaking, but that irritated me just a little bit. Like I was like, so if I've already tried this door and it says it's locked, how on earth would I guess eventually if I didn't have a walkthrough, I would have just been like, I guess I'm trying every door again. And
we're supposed to believe that this conversation holds some kind of mystical door unlocking power.
Yeah, I hope somebody.
Somebody got fired for that blunder.
There it is. We're crossing the streams with Purple Monkey Dishwasher now. I fucking love it. I gotta say too, like, so some of the characters you run into in this game, obviously Maria, who looks like your fucking dead wife. She's trying to seduce you at times. I think I agree with you. I didn't particularly like her. It didn't offend me when she died at all. I felt bad for Eddie though, until I found out that he had tortured a dog, and then I was like, I'm gonna I'll kill this man myself now.
Yeah, as I was feeling like that's how I kind of going through the game. I was like, I don't care about any of these characters. Like they're all driving me nuts. And I was like, Eddie's the only cool one. And then he was like, oh yeah, he killed the dog. And like, I got a bully, sure, but the dog didn't have to die. And like, then he just starts going nuts. You're like, all right, well, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah, I feel like because you're right. Because like Maria, I don't think anyone's really on her side. Angela,
Yeah.
The one that was crying in the graveyard at the very end of the game, like or near the end of the game when you run into her in that basement and you find out what she's been through. Now I've got
feel
a
bad
lot
for
of
her.
you feel bad for her. The little girl, I was like, I'll kill you myself. Like once she locked me in that fucking room and would let me out, I was like, I'll kill you. And then she had the audacity to call me a fart face. Well, she locked me in a room to die, and I was like, "You little shit, you're done."
That's the last thing you're hearing before these bed monsters fucking murder you.
Yeah, but then Eddie, every time you run into this guy, like people are calling him a fat slob, or he's crying, or eating, or puking, or talking about what a piece of shit he is, and I was like, I really hope this guy gets out of here okay.
Yeah.
And I've said it on the show before, I think, but I'm like. I genuinely believe, like, in any form of media, they're like, hey, what's something we can do to make everybody hate this character that nobody seems to hate? And it's like, I bet you if he hurts a dog, people will fucking hate him.
Make him a dog murderer.
Yeah. Like, if you had told me, like, he murdered people that were bullying him, I'd be like, well, you know, they probably had it coming. But once he murdered a dog, I was like, I'll kill you with my bare fucking hands, you piece of shit. Like,
the dog was the victim in that situation. He had a shitty owner and then an untimely death.
Yeah, but I agree though. Like I really enjoyed the concept of the story that this dude has been beckoned back to a town by a letter from his dead wife or whatever the fuck, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I loved that, and I really enjoyed that. Like the game ends at the hotel where you guys were on your trip, and how it goes from like abandoned hotel to like fucked up, burned to the ground hotel and all that kind of stuff. But I will say, outside to a limited extent of Angela or whatever her name was, none of the other characters really did it for me.
No. I found a detachment to basically everybody as well.
Yeah, they didn't like hurt the game for me, but they didn't add anything to the game for me.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Trying to think. And then the whole ending with Mary, like, so, like, I'm still, so, like, because at one point it made it seem that he was, like, there was, like, a note where Mary had said something like, I know he can be kind of misunderstood, or James can be kind of a bad guy, but underneath that, like, he's actually really nice.
Is that the one she wrote to Laura?
I think so, yeah.
Because, my understanding is, like, Laura and Mary spent time in the same hospital. And that's how they know each other. And she wrote 2 letters, one to James and one to Laura, but then Laura gets a hold of both of them.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it as well.
Yeah.
But when I read this one about how James can like kind of be misunderstood, but he's a nice guy, I thought like that's where I started to think like maybe this guy was like hitting her, like abusing her.
Yeah, so they kind of hint to like him having like an alcohol problem as well. Like, there's a part of the game where I think it's before you enter like the strip club, there's like a crate of like bottles and stuff, and he kind of hints that he has like a drinking problem or maybe some like issues like that. Yeah, and then.
Closer to the end, you find out that he did in fact kill Mary. And so I thought like, oh man, maybe he got drunk and like lost his shit on her and killed her. And I was like, so am I the villain here? Like, am I the piece of shit?
Yeah. So like the way I kind of look at it, and I'll kind of give you like my understanding and what I think is like my canonical ending. Like I know it's open for interpretation, but this is how I like to kind of think about this game. And so James, his wife is sick. He goes to visit her. She's, that whole conversation where she's like, don't look at me. I'm a monster. Like, get away from me. Then she is so sick that she has to come home for her like final days. And out of like, she says she doesn't want to be alive. She wants to die. He suffocates her with a pillow, kills her basically like a, kind of like a mercy killing kind of thing. Yeah. But the guilt of that, he lives with that so much that he creates this scenario in his brain where he has to go back to Silent Hill. And I think he's gone there to basically kill himself. And he's created this thing where Mary's calling him back. But I truly believe, and I know this is kind of like a known theory or kind of what is thought to be the story, is that car in the beginning that he arrives in, Mary's body is in there and he's come back to commit suicide, which is like the ending I got, the in the water one where he wants to be with Mary. I think that I consider that to be like the true story of it. It's just like he's so racked with guilt. He gets drunk and drives there, or has a drinking problem, throws her body in the trunk, and he drives to Silent Hill to kill himself to be with her. And that's what I take to be like my canonical ending of the story and kind of the whole overall. because everybody's there dealing with guilt of some kind, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's there because of some sin, and like even the pyramid head representing like his manifestation of guilt, or like a punisher trying to make him atone for what he's done.
Right. I interpreted it similarly in the sense of like the guilt of him killing his sick wife brought him back to the town. That like I interpret at first, like I kind of thought like maybe he's just looking for like closure or something, and then the only thing that confused me was like, if I've got this letter saying that like he can like basically implying, the way I interpreted it was implying that he used to be abusive to her, but then I'm like, well, but he killed her because she was sick and didn't want to live like this anymore. And stuff.
Yeah.
So then I was like, so which like is is he a good guy or a bad guy? Like
if you get like
sure.
If you get the good ending where you just like you leave and there's that like cutscene and a conversation where she's like, go on and live your life, and then you read the whole version of the note and stuff at the end. It seems like he just kind of like he killed her and she's like, thank you, see ya.
That's the ending.
And that's why I like the in the water one where he just like drives the car off into Toluca Lake and just drowns to death with her in the trunk of the car. Like that seems more fitting of the whole story. It's like a man tortured by his actions goes back with this whole manifestation that he's built in his head that she's called him back, but she can't. I mean, she's dead, right? She doesn't exist. And all these other people, with Maria being somebody that he's made up as well. And all this stuff is just a manifestation of his mind. And he's just suicidal. And I think that's like the overall theme of what it deals with and kind of the heaviness of it. That really makes it fit to me and makes it feel like a really heavy story.
Yeah. Yeah. When I read all the endings, cause that's what I do. Like, I don't, much respect to anyone that plays through the game multiple times to get all the endings. That's not me. And I'm like that with any game. Once I beat the game, then I'm going to look up how else it could have ended and I'm ready to move on. But I got like the quote unquote happy ending where I left the town with Laura, the little girl, and it was like, everything is fine. But reading all of them, I agree. Even though the water ending is absolutely fucked up, that he kills himself with her body in the car, it did seem like the one that made the most sense. Yeah. Like I was like, this little girl has like just been fucking with you and shit this whole game, but now we're like, we're just gonna leave this town together. Like everything's fine. Yeah. Oh, it seemed like a happy ending in a game that frankly I don't think should have a happy ending.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like that one, it feels like the canonical version. Like it feels like what should happen in this situation, and it makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. Another thing with these games is I love the way that they figure out the endings, because no one seems to definitively know, but they basically slap like scores on things based on what you do, and then whatever score you get at the end of the game is depends on your ending. I like that they don't make it. I'm assuming it could probably be kind of frustrating for somebody that wants to play through and get every ending, but for someone like myself that's like, I know I'm just going to play through it once and whatever ending I get is the ending I get. I like that I have literally no idea what ending I'm building toward until the game is over. I really enjoy how discreetly you're adjusting how this game is going to end while you're playing it. I quite enjoy it. It's really brilliantly done, actually.
Yeah, it's like what you get, whatever your like, however you decide to play without even knowing that you're your influence in the end. It's just whatever your natural like exploration and how you react to the environment is what affects what the end of the game is.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I really like that they do, and I like that they have the joke endings. Like I've never gotten one, but I do love that there's like the aliens and the
dog controlling everything is probably the real ending.
Yeah,
that's probably the real canon.
The dog controlling everything. What the fuck? These games. I like that for such a serious, deep, dark, touches on some pretty fucked up themes of game. I like that they throw in these stupid comic endings that you can find as well.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
fucking really good game, man. I really like 1, 2, and 3. I think if I had to rank them right now, I'd probably go 2, 3, 1. But
what I love about this whole conversation is you've been saying all three, and to anybody that loves the fourth one, it's such a disrespect to not even like consider the fourth one exists at all.
Well, it's interesting.
I love it. Like the whole time, just be like, all three of these games.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to touch on that one, and I kind of did that on purpose because I wanted to lead into
going to be somebody being like, I love the fourth one. What the fuck?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was kind of do that intentionally because I'll tell you right now, like at some point when I can find a way to get a hands on, I am going to play Silent Hill 4 now because I have to see how this. I got to try.
Yeah.
I have to. But
I'd like to revisit it too.
It seems very, very divisive among Silent Hill fans.
Yeah.
And so you've played it without spoiling anything. Like, are you able to explain why? Is it just a different setting?
I can't spoil it for you if I wanted to. I got it when it came out, and what I told you, like what I hated about it, and maybe maybe I just do have to revisit it. Maybe I'll love it, but it had a mechanic that I remember that there was like a sword, and there was a lot of the enemies, or what I think in my head, what I remember is it was like almost all or a bunch of enemies were like apparitions, like ghost figures that couldn't be killed or stopped. So they would always be there, and you'd have to like plunge the sword into them to pin them in the ground. You have to keep taking the sword with you, and it was like too terrifying. Like I hated that mechanic of like the unkillable enemy, like it's just something's always after you. There's no way to stop it.
Okay. And
then it's set in that and maybe in that sense it was doing a great job, and I was just too terrified, and I took like being too scared to play through it as it being not a great game. And maybe like I would love to revisit it, and honestly I might change my opinion when I replay it, but that was kind of how I felt, is I got frustrated by like this unkillable kind of thing. And maybe it was just a small part of the game and I'm just misremembering it, but to me it felt like a majority of the combat mechanic was this like these ghosts that you couldn't kill, and you pin them in the ground with this sword to move around the room and do whatever, and then take it and run to the next place. And there would be constantly things like after you that you couldn't destroy.
Right.
That's how I remember it.
Okay. Because it's been like, I've had a lot of people message me and be like, dude, stop at 3. But then I've had people reach out and be like, 4 is awesome. People don't know what they're talking about. And one of the most controversial, what's that?
I fully admit, like I've always had the opinion of like 4 is no good, like it's 1, 2, 3, that's it. But like I can admit that I may have been wrong with it. I'd love to like revisit it. Right? I could be one of those people that just doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I want to play it too, and that's one of the issues with Silent Hill is like these fucking. Obviously, we're gonna get into Silent Hill 2 remake in a second, but like. For a game that has for a franchise, that has a following like Silent Hill, they do not make these games easy to play. Like and I don't know why. Like they're gone.
I wonder after like if the remake is successful, which I'm hoping it is. I wonder if they'll do like a remastered collection, or even just like make the other ones available, somewhere, like through Steam, or like port them, or like on PlayStation Store or whatever. Just make them as is. Like here's a collection. Or I'm surprised they haven't done like a trilogy, or a 1, 2, 3, 4 collection remaster or otherwise.
Because I know that they did the Silent Hill HD collection with Silent Hill 2 and 3, and I know a lot of diehard Silent Hill fans hate that collection. I'm going to tell y'all right now, that's how I played both 2 and 3. And maybe the original versions are superior, and if you've played them, it's hard to come and play these what are apparently inferior remasters. But as someone that has never played the original versions of either one, and probably won't unless they're re-released somewhere, because I'm not paying what fucking people want for Silent Hill 2 and 3. I'll tell you right now, if you're listening to this and you've not played them, I played 2 and 3 on the HD collection, and they were fine. Like they're fine. They probably are inferior to the originals, but I've never played the originals to compare.
I've never played them, but they look fine.
And it makes
gameplay footage and stuff.
Like it makes me wonder if that's why we're not getting anything else, because the response to them was so bad.
Could be,
but. Yeah. I do, as someone that wants to, like, this is video game preservation. This is the shit we've talked about on the show for fucking 6 years. Silent Hill 4 is basically just out, like, at least Silent Hill 2 and 3 you can get with the HD collection if you want to. Silent Hill 1, you're basically buying a copy, and Silent Hill 4 is, or it's like, emulate the fuck out. Like, these are the ones where I'm like, go ahead and emulate them, guys. If you can't buy them from the rights holders, I have no problem with emulating a game to keep it relevant. And I don't know, Konami is so fucking weird. Like, how long did it take for them to re-release the Metal Gear Solid games with these collections they're dropping now? So maybe eventually Silent Hill finally gets that, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I think with like the hopeful success of the remake, that either they'll remaster or just re-release the other games.
And we'll kind of
at least the first 4.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And we'll kind of wrap it up on that. As of this recording, it's Sunday, October 6th, early in the morning. Silent Hill 2 remake comes out in 48 hours. It is reviewing through the roof. Like, it's getting 8s, 9s all over the map. I swore I would play the original Silent Hill 2 before this remake came out so I could decide if I'd be interested in the remake. And I'll tell you all right now, like, Silent Hill 2 remake is a day one purchase for me in 2 days now because of how much I liked the original version of Silent Hill 2. I think my big hope for Silent Hill, I feel like we're going to one more Resident Evil comparison, and I hate to keep doing it, but I really hope Silent Hill 2 remake is to this franchise what Resident Evil 2 remake is to Resident Evil.
100%, yeah.
Like,
and I really hope that, because at that point Konami's just printing money if they can pull that off, because then you've got 1 and 3 and possibly 4 that you can redo those just like the Capcom has done with Resident Evil.
Absolutely. And I've said on the show before, but I've with the possible exception of racing games, I don't think there's a genre in gaming that benefits more from the advances in gaming tech than horror games. When you listen, I love the original Resident Evil and Silent Hill and shit as much as the next person, but the blocky Lego people walking around just isn't as scary as
sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm almost a little bit nervous to see what Pyramid Head is going to be like in this game with these new graphics and shit. It's going to be fucking terrifying, absolutely. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
We good? I think we're good. I think I'm good. Is there anything we forgot that you want to bring up?
No, I think I hit all the points on everything that.
Then let's
this game was. Yeah.
Let's slap a score on this bad boy. I'm trying to think of how to score it. It came out in 2001. We could do that. It's kind of lame.
Out of 2001 points.
Yeah, I can't think of a better system. There's not a lot of numbers. I don't want to do it out of 4. Yeah, let's go. All right, yeah, let's just go. Let's go. No, that's fuck it. That's lame.
We could just do a classic out of 10. You know
what? Let's show it some respect. Let's just go out of 10. Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then you are the guest. You have the first dibs. Out of 10, what would you score Silent Hill 2?
So it's funny. As we came into this, I was kind of feeling like I enjoyed 3 a little bit more, and I think that's still the case for just gameplay wise and kind of the look and overall design of the game. I still think I feel that way. But it's this classic thing with this podcast is as I talk about the game with you, I get so excited about talking about it. I don't remember what I gave Silent Hill 3, but I definitely feel like Silent Hill 2 is an 8 out of 10 for sure. Yeah,
that's the score I was kind of thinking as well. I'd love to give it a 9. And there's a lot in it that I really, really like. I guess I'm going to go it's really good. There's not any major criticisms. They're all minor things. I just, at the end of the day, it's a personal preference. I think I just like the zombie stuff a little more than the paranormal. I'm gonna give it a really solid 8.5. It's a really good game.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it definitely deserves a 9, and I can see there's going to be people who it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 9
Absolutely.
out of 10. I know people like that. And at one point in my life, I've definitely felt that way, but kind of coming back to it, and there were things that frustrated me with the game that I had kind of forgotten, and maybe it's just a sign of the way times have changed in gameplay and stuff. But I mean, it's still an amazing, all you need to look at is the fact that they're remaking 2 as the kind of the pinnacle of the franchise.
Agreed.
That tells you all you need to know, right? That tells you how Konami views their IP, how they understand the fans and what people love the most out of this franchise. So I mean, it's the patriarch, it's the matriarch of the franchise. It is the golden child.
Agreed. And I will say that while it's incredibly weird that I played them 3-1-2, I'm glad I saved 2 for the last of the 3, because I think if I had played 2 first, I wouldn't have liked 3 as much as I did.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think it would have just been, I like Resident Evil 5, but having to follow Resident Evil 4 didn't do it any favors. And the same thing with this.
Right,
so
yeah.
Good shit, man. Well, thanks a lot for doing this. It was good talking to you. And
Absolutely,
we'll try to get you on for a
me on.
non-creepy game next time.
I'm glad I was able to fulfill, follow up and kind of complete this Silent Hill train that we've been running with.
Yeah, man. Good shit, buddy. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, buddy. that is going to do it for this week's episode. Patrick, thank you so much for giving me a call on your Sunday morning and talking Silent Hill 2. And to all of you listening to this, whether this was your first Remember the Game, your 312th, whatever the fuck, thank you so much for giving us a chance. And I hope the Silent Hill 2 episode lived up to all the hype that you have been, like, all the expectations, I should say. Because everybody's been waiting on this episode. And I will say the game lived up to all the hype that all of you have showered of. What am I trying to say here? All of you praised it. And I was worried it wouldn't be as good as you made it out to be, and it was. And I hope this episode did it justice. There. It was fucking not that hard to say. Fuck this. Fuck, I suck at this. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, give us the old follow there, the sub, whatever it is you do on whatever podcast service you do, and keep coming back because we aren't going anywhere. 312 episodes strong, and I've got at least 300 more that I want to do, including next week, where we're actually going to step away from video games for for an hour, and in 7 days. Boy, fuck, I'm recording this right after the infamous intro, which I thought I nailed. I shouldn't be struggling so hard. It's 7 days. We're going to step away from video games, but stay on the theme. And my buddy Andre and I are going to take a look back at the Resident Evil movie, which I still think is pretty good. Not great, but the bar is low for old video game movies. We're going to look at that next week, and then we're going to be talking Ghostbusters, the video game, on October 23rd, and we're still planning to wrap the month up with the Alien Isolation review, which I'm going to start playing next week, and I'm fucking dreading it. Patrick is a musician. You can find his stuff in the description of this podcast if you want to get a little bit more Patrick in your life. And I don't know, patreon.com/remember the game. What else do you need me to tell you? $3 a month, hundreds of podcasts. It's a pretty good deal. I'm getting out of here. I'm leaving. I'm going to thank some Patreons and get on with my life. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for being up my ass about Silent Hill 2. It was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the remake, which we'll review on Expansion Pass when I'm done. Take it easy, everybody. And speaking of Expansion Pass, we will be back tomorrow for all of our Patreons with Expansion Pass, my Bluey the video game review. See how this fucking goes. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers. Oh, yeah, and leave us a good review, would you? Appreciate that. See ya. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are the senior executive vice presidents or higher at patreon.com/remember the game. And as such, I'm contractually obligated to say all their names as quickly as possible. So in reverse alphabetical order this week, hang on, I'm going to drink some water first so I don't have to stop in the middle. I'll just hang on a second there, all right? In reverse alphabetical order, a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer Slick Motherfucking Rick, Z-Train22, Zonko504, Zen Paladin, Zane Donovan, Zamatos, Zach Shepard, Your Threats Don't Scare Me, Hot Dog Man, Youngster TK, X Maverick X, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Row, Wolf Magic 21, Wolfgang Darren, Wimp 15, Wilco Works for Me, VOS Rager, Tyler, Tristan Anderson, Triple, Travis Sanders, Toby OP, Titan 420, Timothy Sabrinsky, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Thomas Smith, the Supreme Chosorizo, Theodore, the Fletchman, the Grim Patron, the Big Deal, Ted Explosion, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Super Jess, Super Science Sephiroth, Stud Steel Smash, Steve Dulk, Standard Ass Brian, Squint, Squeak Nut, Spider Cat, Sour Goat Face, Sleeper Hit, Sharonic, Shoeboxer, Shank the Rat Face Bastard, Scotty McGee, Scott Brooks, Scary Terry, Savage Boosh, Sam Carpenter, Sabin S, Ryan Whitcomb, Ryan Perry, Ryan Kinchin, Rush's Dog Watcher, Roger Walker, easy for me to say, Roger Starbox Pool Cleaner, Rob Yer, Rest in Peace, Koopalings, Rated Excellent, Randy Barrage, Quiet Place Queen, Put it in H, Postman, Plow King, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Fill Up My Farts with Mouth, Phil Lencher, Penguin Milk, ew. Oroku Saki's Gardener, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Nordak, No One Cares, Nick Creature, Nerdy Hybrid, My Left Nut, Morgan, Monstrous D Boner, Mizuru, Mr. Jabroni, Mike Maloney, Mercury 869, Mellow Yellow 8787, McCracken, MacGyver 88, Max Sandin, Max Lagru, Maverick Marty, Mad Zeus, Mad Babadoo, Mark Steed, Marcus Mendoza, Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Madam Nutsitch, Lucas Shaman, Lord Salazar, Lord Palmerston, Lord Long Run Bond, Hugendon II, Liquor Like Luigi, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Leroy Westrich, Leo, Laces Out Dan, Kia Pup, Kevin Monroe, Jinxie 425, Justin Blair, Just Car Pranks, Just a Fish, Juris Dr. Mario, JSK Fusick, Jordan, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Johnny from Virginia, John Woodruff, John M. Watkins, Joe the Sandman, Joe Buck, Jay Nasty 15, Jay Callahan, Jimothy, Jeff Bergeron, James Francesco, James Clark, Jameer Williams, Jake Carter, Isaias, Ida Yellow, Itchy Nutsuru, I Like Jorts, they're comfy and easy to wear. I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out. Who Goulet, Horror Nostalgia, a podcast, Horace Earl, Holmes, Hedgie Poo, High Plains Drifter, Hego Waffle, Guy Who Does Things, Growlywog, Graham Kennedy, Glue Scoppin, Gabe, G9PSX, General Fury, Fuzzy99, Funky C, Funky Do, Funderlips, Frosty Feet 492, Frosty Bear, Faded Sufferance, Fallen Snow Kiku, Eric Hopewell, E-Man Trucker, Elijah Burns, Elephant Calves, Eldest Millennial, Earl, Drugs Are Bad, MK, Doug Dorn, Doogie Bowser MD, Doogie, Donnie the Dude Walter, Diablo Spartan, Decoy Man, DBXJ, David Schroeder, Dave Thompson, Dave McGee, Dar Skywalter, Darbles, Daniel, Dan of Dissect That Film, Dan Fusselman, Dazerith, Daddy's Secret Little Chubby, Crystal Lake Management, Confused But Still Here, Combo Chuck, Cody Thompson, Cody Richardson, Coda Blaze, formerly banned, Chugger22, Christopher Britt, Christian Gabriel, Chris Hill is a master tromboner, Chris Fleury, Chaz Hammond. My voice is cracking all over the place now. Cesar, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Captain Steve N, Captain Asbury Juice. Ugh. Can't destroy. That's fucking gross. Can't Destroy Her, Cam Nelly 23, Busty Meadle, Burt Macklin, Bula, Brian Richmond, Brandon DeZeba, Bottomless Pete, B Money, Blobby Rogers, Blast Processing Won the War, All Hail Sega, Blame the Hoagie Man, Because 19, Biddy, Big the Cat, Big Daddy Randall, Benjamin Berry, Benjamin Atkins, Beers of War, Beef Dingleberry, Beaver Boy, Atrio Wormwood, A-Town, Archangel Otaku, Angry Ticks, Andy Hudson, Andrew Wright, Alexander Camps, Alex R., Alex McIntyre, Akiris Network, Adam's former assistant, Adam Martinet, pardon me. Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy. Ace McGuy, Aaron Lawson, AB Killen, and a dude named Adam. Not my best batch of shoutouts, but I can't blame a guy for trying. And you're all under arrest. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers.